leave it there. Hi everyone, my name is Deborah Asambati, and I'm here to talk to you about events that happened on my birthday. I was born on Thanksgiving morning, November 22nd, 1962. The President of the United States was JFK, which is John F. Kennedy, and the Vice President was Lyndon B. Johnson. Gasoline was 31 cents a gallon at that time. Can you believe that? You can go all the way around the world for 31 cents a gallon to fill up a tank, compared to about almost $4 a gallon now these days. The price of a Chevrolet was $2,500, and wow, compared to now, hey, I think it's about $25,000. What a difference. A hamburger costs 20 cents at the local bar and grill. It cost 50 cents to go to a movie, and the top movie at that time was To Kill a Mockingbird with Gregory Peck. They grossed $20 million on a $2 budget for that movie. Favorite television shows was I Love Lucy, The Beverly Hillbillies, and Andy Griffith. A pack of chewing gum costs 5 cents a pack, and you could also get a Hershey's candy bar for 5 cents as well. Ground beef was 35 cents a pound. That is something else compared to now, when it's probably about $4 a pound in local grocery stores. A dozen of eggs was 54 cents, and you get a loaf of bread for 21 cents a loaf. Nowadays, I guess bread is around $4, unless you want that cheap stuff at Kroger's for 10 for 10. I won't mess with it. Minimum wage was $1.25 an hour. That averages out to about $5,500 a year. The average income, weekly income, for a factory worker during that time was $94 a week. The United States population was $187 million, and tuition to attend Harvard University was a mere $1,500 a year. In comparison to now, the average price is about $60,000 a year. Jackie Robinson had been inducted in the Hall of Fame in November of 1962. And Wilt Chamberlain scored 72 points on a game against San Francisco at that time. He had previously scored 100 points per one game. I believe it was about March of 1962. The first Boeing 747 came out of the hangar on November 22nd, but didn't take flight until February of 1962. Flight 297 flew into a flock of swans and crashed in Columbia, Maryland, killing all 17 people that were on board. The Cuban missile crisis was over, according to President Kennedy, because he put a blockade on Cuba and prevented them from firing any Soviet missiles at that time. President Kennedy also issued an executive order which mandated an end of discrimination in housing at that time, which took place during the Civil Rights Movement. And for all you locals, the famous Detroit Ford Motor Company, actually, which was called the Rotunda in Dearborn, burned to the ground in November of 1962. It was the top 5 places that people like to visit during that time. Right now, there's a satellite campus in that area where it burned down at. And Motown Records was still the headquarters on West Grand Boulevard in Detroit. During that time, you could go and check out some of the top Motown singers. Stevie Wonder, the Jackson 5, the Four Tops, the Supremes, and even the smooth sounds of that Marvin Gaye. Unfortunately, many parts of the world was going through turmoil and issues at that time. South Africans were fighting and dying for the end of apartheid, and there was trouble here in our own United States as far as racial equality and discrimination. Most schools in the South were still segregated, and blacks were not allowed to sit on the bus, well, actually on front of the bus. Some of them were, in some states, they were still drinking out of colored-only water fountains. And parents and family were still praying for the safe return of the young men that were fighting over in Vietnam. Well, that's a little bit of information for you about November 22nd, 1962. I hope you've enjoyed. Thank you, and have a good night.